So now we've got kind of a lot of our legs. Work out, stretch out if you want, shake your legs out. That's a lot of work. I know it's slow, but when we work slow, it's harder. Okay, so the next thing, we're going to talk about our spine. And here's the thing, when we're on the floor, it's very intuitive to us. If I say raise your right hand, you're going to raise your right hand. If I say put all your body parts to the right, you're going to go like that. You're just going to put them to the right. We think about being able to move just one body part at a time when we're standing on the floor. The problem with being on the ice, though, is that ice is a nearly frictionless surface. If we're standing on this blade, if we can move our feet back and forth with no friction at all, pretty much. There's nothing to push against unless we push against our toe pick, and that's, of course, not okay. Or if we turn one of our feet out and we can push against the side of the blade, and then we can get a nice push. Boom, right? Boom. We don't want to point our feet. We want to point our feet and belly. We don't want to do that skating because we'll catch our toe pick. Okay? So it's very limited how we can push against the ice because we can only push it against and kind of perpendicular to where our blade is facing. And we get no power at all pushing against the ice in the direction of our blade. So the thing is, how do we move up one body part? Well, you can't. If you're not able to push against the ice in one place, you can't move one body part. But if you want to be precise, if you want to have control, we need to adjust. And what we most need to adjust is our skating leg, right? We need to be able to move it a little bit one way or another to steer, to steer where we're going, okay? So how do we do that if we're in a position where we can't push against the ice? The way we do it is we have to find another body part to move against. And there are different ways that we do that skating. So in some cases, you'll see people, especially people doing some of these very fancy figures, they use their free leg a lot. Their free leg goes here, it goes there. And the reason why is because they can, use their free leg, move their free leg one way and move their skating leg the other way. So those two body parts, the two legs are pulling or pushing against each other, what we call isometric movement, where two body parts going against each other. And when we move two body parts against each other, it feels very good. And it's a very important coordination to be able to develop. It happens all over the place in any kind of movement we choose to do. I think probably the most important kind of isometric movement in skating is moving the pelvis against the spine. Because if we want to change where we're steering, we want to move where our pelvis is. Now here, I'm standing on a spinner which simulates that nearly frictionless surface. This is almost the same as if I were standing on my skates, like right on the rocker. Okay? So now, let me get this centered. So now I want you to try. I want you to try move just your arms. And watch this. I'll jerk my arms to the left. And you see there's no friction down there. My hips kind of automatically move to the right. But you see how if all I think of is I move my arms, I move, but then at the end of the movement, it kind of jerks around. There's a little bit more movement. See? Boom. See there? And there's a little more movement. I'm just moving my arms, my shoulders. So it's much more effective, much more precise, and most importantly, much more solid within our body. So we're not flopping around. So we have one solid piece that we can skate with. If we actually think of moving our hips against our shoulders. So that means if I'm going to move my shoulders to the right, I'm going to move my hips to the left. That contrary motion, isometric motion, contrary motion. So here, shoulders to the right, hips to the left, shoulders to the left, hips to the right, right? So if we're thinking about moving both parts at once, now I'm not holding on to the bar, it's completely frictionless. Whoa! See how much more solid that is? I'm not holding on to anything. I can move my feet wherever I want to put them and skate in whatever direction I want to put them in by moving my shoulders against my hips. So we are twisting and untwisting our spine. So you can try to figure, well, how far can you twist your spine? How far do you need to twist your spine? So generally for forward skating, you need to twist your spine up to 90 degrees from hips to shoulders. So here my hips are facing to the front, my shoulders are facing to the side, I mean relative to the bar. Depending on how you label front and side, that's 90-degree twist for forward skating. For backward skating, we want 180 degrees twist. Now again, not everybody is going to twist 180 degrees between our pelvis and our shoulders. Some twist more than others, but we want to maximize that twist. So we can stand here on the spinner, and so let's see, what if I could see how my toes are facing the bar? What if I could make my heels face the bar, but leave all my other body parts the way they are now? So let's see. Is that, well, my shoulders kind of are, now I don't want my shoulders hunched up. Let's try to keep my shoulders down. I mean, that's as far as it's going right now. But that's how far my spine twists right now today. And again, we can exercise that. We can work on maximizing our spinal twist, and we can work on doing it smoothly, because we always want our muscles to move smoothly and strongly. We don't want to jerk. Jerking can damage our muscles, damage our body. So we want to move smoothly. If you don't have this kind of spinner, this is a very good spinner for this kind of spine twisting exercise. It's the kind of spinner with 2 plates and ball bearings in between. There's the other kind of spinner that you stand on, and that's not so different from just wearing, like here I have split sole ballet slippers, like they have spinners built in, okay? But this is the kind of spinner we can use to work on our spine twist. So the other thing I want to look at is moving the pelvis. I'm going to get the bar out of the way. Is moving the pelvis. So we just talked about moving the shoulder against, right, shoulder against the hips, okay? But we also, especially for backward skating, we need to be able to just keep everything still, but just move the hips against each other, just rotate them. So right, we can do all this isolation with the hips front. We were doing this flattening of the lower back, which kind of pushes the hip front a bit. We can move it back, we can move it side. But here we want to just twist it. Twist, twist. So let's see. Twist to the right, twist to the left, twist to the right, twist to the left. It doesn't go very far, but it's a very important twisting movement to be able to do, okay? So we call that the small, like the small just pelvis twist we're doing right now, and then there's the full spine twist. The other thing to understand, especially about this, just the small pelvis twist, is you can only do it in parallel, right? If you turn your feet out, that really locks your pelvis in place, and there's no twisting going on, okay? So when we want to access that movement, we need to be standing in parallel. So we're going to do the same exercise. The first time, we're going to do it just twisting the pelvis. And the second time, we're going to step on the spinner and do it on the spinner. Now, if you don't have a spinner, you can simulate it by going, you know, by just having 2 feet and just a lot of little bitty easy steps, okay? But if you can get the spinner, that's really the best. And we want smooth and continuous to the movement. Okay, so we're going to start slowly, and then we're going to double speed, then we're going to double up again, and double up again. So by the end, we're going to be moving pretty fast. And it's important that we stay with the music. It's important to all of us that we stay with the music. Because when we do these kinds of exercises, or any exercise to a certain tempo, we're asking our body to fit in with that tempo. And sometimes our body wants to move faster, sometimes it wants to move slower. We smooth out the movement by working with a specific tempo. And working with beautiful music like this is one way to do that.